Hello, my name is Future Nightmares. With insurmountable pressure by a less than 200 subscriber channel, Th3Birdman, a leftist 300k plus sub channel, had to respond to the allegations that it levied towards him, and would release his response on July 27th, 2026. Now, as stated in my last video regarding Birdman, I said if he lied, dodged, or became belligerent, that I would send the archive of Birdman server to other larger creators. This is something I have done, as Harmful Opinions just released their own video on the subject matter. Granted, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so let's tear down this flimsy, paper-thin response.
To prove this, I Google Yellow Flash 2 Real Face. Google Images pops this up. The first 4 results are all Reddit results, the first and fourth of which are showing a man's face. I click the first and fourth link and they take me to the same Reddit thread that is over a year old. This thread lists Yellow Flash's apparent name, his general location, and these images of a portly man. I read through the thread and find zero pushback on the fact that this may not be him. I then perform a Google search on the name that is listed in that thread, and Google's AI confirms the name as Yellow Flash's name, along with a link to one of Yellow Flash's videos that I did not click. It's at this point I decide that this is Yellow Flash's face and real name, so I screenshot the image and post a response on Twitter pointing out that Flash is also out of shape and basically shouldn't be throwing stones in glass houses.
How do you just immediately tell on yourself that you were so ass mad over the Yellow Flash's tweets that you specifically sought out Yellow Flash's face, and that you confirmed it all with Google AI? Now remind you, Birdman claims that this was him doing his due diligence. I shouldn't have to tell you that the confirmation with fucking Google AI is not your due diligence. Your 141 IQ is sure doing gangbusters right now, bud.
Now, let's pause and talk about doxing. According to the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, doxing is the intentional release of an individual's personal identifying information without the person's permission, usually with intent to retaliate or intimidate. Notice that it says intentional and intent. I am from California, and thus I am subject to California's laws. Here is what California's laws say about doxing, which is specifically covered under California Penal Code 653.2. Every person who, with intent to place another person in reasonable fear for his or her safety, yada yada yada, causing that other person unwanted physical contact, injury, or harassment by a third party, yada yada yada, can be subject to all these forms of punishment. You'll notice California law also states intent. On this law firm's website, they clarified that doxing, according to Penal Code 653.2, must be an act with intent of subjecting someone to harassment. So, according to this information, I have factually not doxed anyone because I mistakenly shared an image of a person who I thought was Yellow Flash, a public figure. I did not intend for anyone to harass the gentleman in the photograph, and it's impossible for anyone to have done so for the next reason this claim is ridiculous. No personal information has been shared.
First of all, your intent is there. You specifically went out looking for Yellow Flash's photo to incite harassment towards Yellow Flash. Now, I find it particularly interesting that you yada yada the California Doxing Code, as it states where in your own code imminently cause that other person unwanted physical contact, injury, or harassment by a third party electronically distributes, which in this case would be spreading posts that have already doxed someone, publishes, emails, hyperlinks, or makes available for downloading personal identifying information, including but not limited to a digital image of another person or an electronic message of harassing nature about another person, which would be likely to incite or produce unlawful action. Now, it's not like this guy has been harassed publicly by any means. Oh wait, there's Yellow Flash's video. Let's watch it to see what he said about people talking about this guy in real life.
Said it because I talked to the man in Orlando. Okay? Now, he didn't tell me about any of the medical stuff. Other people talked to me about that because I was telling them about it. Because why I say he didn't like it is because I talked to him and he wasn't too happy about what was going on. That's what it seemed like to me. He didn't seem like he was very happy about people using that photo of him and attacking him ruthlessly all the time. And I don't blame him. You know, this guy's not online. He's a guy in the chat. And all of a sudden, these giant YouTubers are making fun of this guy's looks, calling him ugly and fat. He didn't ask for any of this. Now, if you want to do that to me, that's fine. You could call me ugly and fat all day. I put myself out there. I am on the internet, okay? That guy is not. He didn't ask for that. All he did was go hang out with people that he likes watching. And I don't get why these guys don't understand that. Like, you're putting a guy in the crossfire here that does not deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. He didn't ask for it. And Joe doesn't seem to understand that.
Riveting stuff that this guy has now been referred to in real life as Yellow Flash and has been harassed in real life, granted, by Yellow Flash's own word, but there's no reason to not trust Yellow Flash's word because currently, we'll get into later in this video, that your word, Birdman, means fucking nothing. Now, if you let all that stuff in when you were reading the penal code for California when it refers to doxing, you look real fucking guilty. Now, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not saying that you would be criminally charged. In fact, it would be severely unlikely that you would, but with that context added, you sure look real fucking guilty. Especially when you claim to me in your initial response that sharing photos is not doxing. So let's get into that claim. So I'm dragging up the old Kinoflex drama between him and SK referring to doxing. Initially, I was defending Kinoflex until SK and I had a chat in DMs where he pointed out the blatant hypocrisy referring to me calling Birdman a doxer while defending Kinoflex, which he was completely fair to criticize. But there's some context I want to add in here. From what I understood at the time, that SK's photos were publicly publicized by him. It was not. So to be clear, I amend that statement, and it turns out this was a huge misunderstanding between mine and Kinoflex's conversation, so I apologize, I fucked that one. But why am I bringing this up? Well, in Birdman's video, he makes arguments that this photo was already being spread around and posted publicly.
Before Angry Joe posted the image. So how is it possible that I have doxed this man when this image has been making the rounds on Twitter months before I ever posted it and at least a year on Reddit? The name in the screenshot is actually Flash's name, not the man in the photo. The location is apparently Flash's location, not the man in the photo. And since people have been attributing this image to Flash for a year and he's been denying it for at least that long, it would make sense for him to make up a story about cancer to make anyone sharing this image sound worse.
So it's not doxing because someone else publicized it without his permission. Regarding SK's and Kinoflex's drama, SK never posted his face publicly, yet it leaked and spread, which led to Kinoflex posting it. This is what is called spreading/dissemination. Now, frankly, personally, I don't care about some random guy's photo on the internet that has little to no public platform. But what I do have an issue with is posting other identifying PII that makes it far easier to locate an individual. Especially since when I talked to Flash in DMs, he stated to me that his location was not public. Also, as stated in my previous videos, even if I still got all this information wrong, you still believed it and you posted it to incite harassment. Also, regarding what we found in your Discord server, we know your intent is for harassment. And on top of the rest of the information provided per the definition you provided as well as the California law, while legally you'd be extremely unlikely to face criminal charges because frankly, no court would give a fuck, but the full context of definition and the law of your state, you look incredibly fucking guilty. While I'm not stating you committed a crime, I'm no lawyer, but you certainly are breaching the boundaries of what is acceptable on the internet. But with all that out of the way, given your prior statements and arguments to defend yourself and the same arguments I use against you that you use against Kinoflex, you'd have to admit you did dox, or either none of you doxed. And I'm sure SK would love an answer to that one. You surely wouldn't want to be a lying griftly bear on your position on what is and isn't doxing, would you? Now, I'm not going to fully touch everything regarding the Discord server as Harmful Opinions is now taking over on that, and I have far more knowledge regarding what's happened in there, but I want to address some of your argumentation. You blatantly lie and said you had no idea what Discord was.
A slip up, and they think they found one this time. I created my Discord in December of 2018. I didn't really know what it was. It was something people had been asking me to create for a while, and I just sort of relented as I saw it as another way to engage with my audience, which in 2018 was tiny, by the way. As you can see, when I announced the server, I got 10 likes, and that was about the same amount of people who initially joined that server. My point is, at the point in which I created the server, I was a tiny creator with a tiny audience, but we were somewhat close-knit, being a smaller community. Back then, I basically knew everyone in my server, as these were the hardcore fans I'd gained up to that point. These were people I spoke to all the time on my channel and on Twitter, some of whom were my actual real-life friends. Needless to say, these people were all adults, and they all knew me and what I was about. At that time, I was just becoming known for my
As you can see in this screenshot, the Birdman did have a Discord server prior for a different reason. Meaning that he had full knowledge of what Discord was at the time when he created his server, which I don't understand why you would have to lie about this. You also blatantly lied that they were all adults, as you made a 14-year-old minor your very first moderator. Also, you chose the very easiest one in your video to quote-unquote debunk, but don't address the rest of the video of what I had brought up in my video, like the full nudity anime picture, as well as people chatting about porn folders and having a porn addiction in front of minors. Now, to the benefit of you, you did delete that full nudity artwork, but it's surprising that you didn't mention that at all regarding your response video. So I know you watched my video, Birdman, so I know what you know about what I said about your Discord. Maybe, I don't know, it's because you know that there's no defense for it. So pick the easiest narrow argument and dodge the rest of the evidence I've shown from your server. And to be clear, I know there's far worse in there that I would love to make public, but I'm going to send you to Harmful Opinions video in the description. As well, subscribe to his channel for more updates regarding the Birdman. Just know there's a reason why the Discord issue only takes up 6% of his 17.5-minute response. Now the Domino's response is really easy, as Birdman doesn't address the main component of my complaint and actively deceives his fans. How do I know this? This interaction.
You said your name is yes, and you're the manager at this location here in... You are? Correct. Okay, cool.
Are you starting to notice a pattern here, dear viewer?
This interaction is completely uncensored in the original video. The Birdman states the manager's first name alongside the address of the Domino's. At the beginning of the video, he shows his phone where it shows the location of the Domino's on Google Maps. Based off his subscriber growth from Social Blade and the snapshot from the Wayback Machine, you can determine his subscriber count around that time at 121,000 subscribers during 2021 at the time of this incident. Now I have to ask you this. Do you think it's anywhere appropriate to harass employees, say the manager's name multiple times, say the address of where the Domino's is, and then point to it on a fucking map to show exactly where it is, inciting and doxing the Domino's employees? If Birdman didn't think it was doxing, why bother censoring the clips he shows anyways? He claims he did nothing wrong, so post a full video and make it public. I'm sure it will cement your fans' opinions that you aren't a doxer. Anyways, that's the response and how Birdman is actively lying. Currently, now that his response is up, I'm going into full digging mode. And from here on out, I would follow Harmful Opinions videos for further updates and leaks of the Birdman server. Because currently, this is where my story ends with the Birdman. Anyways, all, thank you for watching.